What's so funny? Hi, I just have two thoughts I want to share. One of them is about the widow and the pots of oil. So this last week, I thought I was only going to have to teach the Bible at school 2 times, but things have a way of changing and I ended up doing it 4 times. Usually I do 3 times, so it was 1 more than I would usually do. And I had done it for the 3rd time, and that day was also Multicultural Day, and the kids had come to school all dressed up in their special outfits, and then they needed to try to concentrate for half an hour on our lesson, which was very hard for them to concentrate and hard for me to try to keep them in order. So I found that lesson very tiring. Then we had the Multicultural Day, which was a very special and neat day. The parents were invited to go too, so I was at school that day too. And then in the evening I had a headache, and I was feeling so tired and a headache as well. I could hardly think about the lesson that I still needed to prepare for the next morning. And so anyway, I decided to skip ahead a few stories and do the widow and the pots of oil, because I know it's a very simple story and I know that one really well, and so I didn't have to try to get my head around a story I didn't know very well. So I was looking up that story and I saw something written about it, which I didn't use that for the children, but it really helped me. And it said something somebody wrote about this story is that God welcomes and uses empty vessels. So it's talking about the empty pots of oil. The lady borrowed empty pots, and then she filled them up with her little pot of oil. And I'd never thought about that story in that way before, but that lady could only use empty vessels. If she couldn't borrow vessels that were already full. And God wants us to be empty for him to use us, empty of ourselves and our own ways, so he can fill us up with himself. And that was a really encouraging thought, because I felt so empty of any strength. I felt so worn out and so tired, and I felt like I had nothing left to give. But that's when God wants to use us, is when we are empty. So we don't need to be discouraged when we feel like we've got nothing left to give. So then we need to go to God and ask him to fill us with his strength and with his help, and then he can work and use us. So if you feel like God can't use you because you're empty and got nothing left to give, that's right when God can use you. You need to go to God to be filled, and then he will use you. And God did help me. And another thing I wanted to talk about was about strength. A while ago I listened to a sermon, and it was about Lazarus and when he died and Jesus brought him back to life. And in that chapter it says, Jesus said, I'm the resurrection and the life. And the pastor who was preaching about it said that Jesus revealed himself as the resurrection and the life. And I've been thinking a lot about that, how in different situations God does reveal himself as, the different characteristics that he is. Like in that story, he revealed himself as the resurrection and the life. And when Lydia was in hospital for that whole year, God revealed himself to me as the God of all comfort and the God of all grace. His grace never runs out. And lately God has been revealing himself to me as the God of all strength. So at the end of last year, I felt like I couldn't be any more busy than I already was. I already felt like I was very busy doing different things, and I actually prayed for more time to write, because there are more books I want to write. And instead this term I'm now working 2 full mornings. And so in the end of the holidays, I was just feeling quite nervous about how I was going to handle that as well. And of course you could just say, well, why didn't you just not take the job? I was offered the job, but of course I didn't have to take it, but I did pray a lot about it, and I do believe that's what God wanted me to do. So then it's just a matter of obedience, but I am really enjoying the job. But right before I started, I was feeling quite worried about it, because I was afraid of being too busy and not being able to keep up with all the things that I need to do. But God really spoke to me about strength. Sometimes it seems like everywhere you look, you see the same thing. And for me, it was like that about strength. So I'm just going to read a few definitions of strength. It is the confidence or courage in a difficult situation. It's ability to be treated roughly or to carry heavy weights without being damaged or destroyed. The strength of a person, organization, or country is the power or influence that they have. And another one is the capacity for exertion or endurance. And thinking about strength, I noticed that there are so many verses in the Bible that talk about strength. And some of these I kept coming across back when I was feeling worried. And one of them is, as your days, so shall your strength be. Another one, he gives power to the weak, and to those who have no might, he increases strength. Psalm 68:35, the God of Israel is he who gives strength and power to his people. Blessed be God. Another one is, when I am weak, then I am strong. And then the verse is about God being our strength. So God is the God of all strength, and he has a never-ending supply, and we need to go to him when we need strength.